I am Dirk Duran Smith, and I am an Associate Director in the Career Center here at Robinson College of Business at Georgia State up the street. And I have, I have to remember, no, an MSCM, Master of Science in Conflict Management. I'm in a non-traditional or atypical type of a career, but I promise you I use conflict management skills every single day. I would not be as successful in my career if I had not gone through that program. That's a plug for the program. MSCM graduates. Yeah, hey. Okay, shout out. And I'm also a registered corporate coach. And I have been coaching students, graduate students, and the students that I and my team work with, they are mid-level professionals or they're senior executives. So they're not like 18, 19, 20-year-olds. These are like the real people. They're people like you that are seasoned professionals. And so we coach them in all aspects of career management. And I'm sure you're all here for something, and I think that I know what it is. So we'll start with show and roll. Thank you so much. So, would you tell me, please, which way I to go from here? Well, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't really care which way, said Alice. Well, it really doesn't matter which way you go, says the cat. Love this quote from Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. And the reason why I like it so much is, we're good, I think. But the reason why I like this quote so much is because Alice, I don't know if you know the story, but she's kind of hopping through forest or wherever she's going, and she can see this fork in the road, right? And see, so she really doesn't quite know which way to go. And so she asks this cat. She looks up in the tree and she asks the cat. And the cat said, well, where do you want to go? She said, well, I don't really care much where. And then she says, well, it really doesn't matter which way you go. Everyone in this room is at a fork in the road. I only know maybe like 2 people in this whole room. I never laid eyes on you, but you're at a fork in the road. And the reason why I know that is because you're here. And it's because you're here to make some decisions about your career. And in making the decisions about your career, there are a lot of things that you have to think about. So what I'm going to do for this presentation, because career management, I'm going to tell you, it's really big, and David can tell you, it is huge. And there are so many things that one has to consider when you're thinking about making a career change, or you're moving into a new career, or moving to a new job, or how do you figure it out? Because it's really daunting. It's really daunting. So I'm going to talk about the career management model. I'm also going to talk about understanding this whole process of career management and career planning from 30,000 feet, and then we're going to bring it down to ground level. Then we're going to talk about how to explore those possible options, which is why you really are here, and to see me. And then hopefully we'll have a few minutes for questions. So the career management model, there are a few areas that are within the career management model. And everyone in this room will fall into one of these particular areas. The first area is assessment, and that's for individuals who really and truly don't have no clue as to which direction to go in, what they want to go into. Then there's the second area, exploration, focus, and goal setting. This is the particular area that I'm going to concentrate on in this particular workshop. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out. The purpose and goal of this workshop is to provide you with concepts that you can apply to get the process started. Because again, it's so big that I couldn't possibly in 40 more minutes, give you everything that you really truly do need to know. But the concepts, you can take it, and everyone in here will be able to apply it. Then there's self-marketing in the job search, and that is the most, what I consider the most labor-intensive. That's where people will develop their resume, they develop their elevator speech or positioning statement, they develop their networks, they develop anything that is career-related. And then there's ongoing career management. And that includes basically just being mindful, of your career as you're going through it. So, let me just give you a 30,000-foot overview. I'm going to make it quick. Somebody can push me along if I keep talking. But at 30,000 feet, this is the deal. From a recruiter's perspective, always keep in mind the end goal for you at some point is to look for another job and get an interview and to get hired. It's that simple. But so I always talk about this whole process from the decision maker's perspective. The first thing is there are industries. Then there are companies. There are functions or business units within those companies. Then there are actual positions. And then there are KSAs. And I'm going to use those terms, the KSA term, quite a bit, throughout this presentation. And the KSAs is knowledge, skills, and abilities. So for all of this, one has to make some sort of decision as to which direction you want to go in. The reason why it's critical is so that you can have a more focused approach to this whole trying to figure it all out. So there are industries, and there's like the banking industry and the retail industry and the automotive industry. There are just so many different industries. Now for me, I chose higher ed. And I chose higher ed for a lot of different reasons, but I chose higher ed. I used to work in the retail industry, didn't like it. I used to work in the automotive industry, didn't like it, because I wanted to do something where I could reach out to people and to help people, which is a term that I hate, but I'm going to use it anyway. I want to help people. And just because of the whole academic environment, I was really liking that. And then there are functions or business units. And what that means is within the organizations, there are all these different business units. It's like finance and marketing and accounting and HR. And within those business units, there are a number of jobs and job postings and job listings.
Dirk.
So, oh God. How come y'all didn't tell me? Like all in the way? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so everybody's just saying workshops over. No. So there are a number of different types of positions that are there within these functions. So from the decision maker's perspective, the reason why all of this is so critical from the decision maker's perspective and from your perspective, as you are exploring possible options, is that every job has core responsibilities. And when I say responsibilities, that includes knowledge, skills, and abilities. And you have to know what they are. And I'm going to show you how to know what they are relevant to what you already have. And the determining factor is going to be, the bottom line is, do you have what it is that they need? That's the bottom line. Because employers have these jobs, they want someone to come in and do a job. And the students that I talk to, and the people that I talk to, they will always say, especially MBAs, besides David, MBA. Yeah, I work with all MBAs. And the favorite line of an MBA is, how can I say it? Is that I want to keep my options open. I want to keep my options open. And I'm thinking, you don't have any options. And the reason why I say that, because you really do, but the reason why I say that is because you will never, ever find an organization with a business unit and a hiring manager that's looking for a manager of all things to all people. You're not going to find it. They say we're looking for an ombudsman. We are looking for a mediator. We are looking for a career coach. And this is what we want that person to do, the knowledge, skills, and abilities. So, the knowledge, skills, and abilities. So, on the exercise, and this is just going to take like 2 minutes, there is a sheet that has the position I'm seeking when I'm ready to make my next career move. Everybody have that? Mm-hmm. Take a minute or minute-ish, minute two. Think about what is that job title that you're looking for. And the reason why I say job title is because when you look for jobs, you look for my job title, right? So what is that job title? And list all the skills, knowledge, and abilities that are going to be applicable for that job in order for you to be qualified and or competitive. Oh, yes. another 30 seconds. Okay, if I can just get everybody's attention, just wherever you are, just wherever you are. What I can do. Anybody think they did really well, want to share with the group? Yes, no. What were some of the job titles? Just kind of throw them out.
That's our
Mediator and arbitrator.
Okay, mediator, arbitrator, okay.
Consultant,
Consultant, and what type of consultant?
educational consulting,
Okay. Anybody else?
attorney.
Attorney, okay. And what type of attorney?
Some kind of civil practice. Workers' comp, BI, I guess, I don't know. Something there. That's what I do now.
Do it right here.
How'd you guys do with skills? KSAs?
For skills, I have, communication, finance, curriculum, building internal, external, relationships, negotiating, and management.
How did you know that?
Part of what I really.
I always ask people that, I'm like, how do you know that?
Part of what I really want to do is to mentor and coach current principals and superintendents, and so that's the field I just retired from, superintendent. So I know all of the things. I've worked as principal, I've worked as superintendent, and I know the skills that are necessary to be able to coach and mentor someone.
Yeah. What's your name?
Betty.
Betty. Betty. Thank you, Betty. The reason why I asked that, and there's going to be part two, is because there are a lot of jobs. There are a lot of jobs by title. And these jobs by title here are just not within the ADR industry. And when you talk about legal terms, this is not even a drop in the bucket in terms of the jobs by title. So I mean, it's, yeah, you have a lot of options, but what is it going to be? Or what are they going to be? You know, that's going to be very, very, very critical when you're talking about exploring your options. Okay. And if you want to be within the ADR industry, the reality of it is it's really a relatively still new industry. And all things considered, it's not like accounting that's been around forever and ever, man. But it's relatively new industry. So as far as job titles go, the titles aren't necessarily consistent with the exception of mediator, arbitrator, and ombudsperson. And then there are a couple, you know, labor negotiator, or mediator. So these are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. And these are, so what type of industry are you interested in? So that you're not, all of these questions, I want you to give it some thought, because, you know, if not, you'll be all over the place. And what kind of function or business unit, maybe, you know, what are the possibilities? We're gonna talk about that next. What are the KSAs? We're gonna talk about that next, how to determine what that is. And of the ones that, of the KSAs that you are finding that are relevant to the type of jobs that you're looking for, it's like, what do you have and what do you need? Because what that does is it helps you to understand if what you say you want to do is what you're qualified and competitive to do. And what you say you want to do, and like with Betty, and those are really good skills, sets that But the question would be, even in that situation, is that what I think they are? Is that what an employer would think they are? Is that what they would be asking for? Is that what I just think that they are? And they could be, I'm sure they are, because they sound, you know, to me, like they're actually. And the other thing too is, will you be a career changer? Because if you're going to be a career changer, then that's an entirely different ballgame. And we really don't have a whole lot of time to go into that right now. Or are you going to are you thinking about advancing in your current organization? Because then that's something else too. But for this particular workshop, it'll be exploring career options. So let's get to the real deal. This is why y'all are here. So I wanted to pretty much set that stage, is that there are industries, there are companies, there are functions, there are roles, and there are KSAs. So the real deal is, the first thing you have to do is take personal inventory. And when I say take personal inventory, I don't mean, typically what people will do is they will, especially you'll notice when I say this and you read your resume, they'll say, this is where I worked, this is what my title is, and let me tell you what I did. This is where I worked, and this is what my title was, and let me tell you what I did. From me, the decision maker, the employer, I'm like, I don't care what you did. If it's not what I want. If it's not what I want, I don't care what you did. So you have to be able to understand the knowledge, skills, and abilities. So when you're taking personal inventory, you also have to think about, okay, what were my responsibilities? But also within those responsibilities, what types of skills can I demonstrate? What types of skills, knowledge, or abilities can I demonstrate? Because I'm not going to hire you based only by what you have done, but I need to know what your skills are. Now, for example, this is a very quick example. Someone in my position, I'm an associate director in a career center, and I'm a career coach, and I'm a manager, and I do a lot of other things. So if you look at any job description, and we're going to talk about job descriptions, because that's going to get to also part of the exploration piece. If you look at any job description for a career advisor or an associate director doing what I do, you're always going to see something that says, develop and facilitate workshops. You're going to see it. I have the PowerPoint presentation. I'll give it to y'all. I know it's kind of bad, but because typically people will be writing and flipping through it. And so yeah, so hey, my bad. But they use say develop and facilitate workshops. In any job description that you look at, for the most part, you're going to see that as a part of the responsibilities. Develop and facilitate. They're telling you exactly what it is. Okay. I can write my resume, or I can say, you know, that's what I do. I develop and facilitate workshops, in addition to a lot of other things. Or my coworker, Krista, my coworker, she's not really my coworker, but Krista can say, I develop workshops using Microsoft PowerPoint and present in front of 200 students per semester. They make value or informed decisions about their career. It's a big difference, right? Now you know how I know how to use Microsoft PowerPoint. Now you know that I have presented in front of large numbers of people multiple times. And as a result of me doing that, people become better informed about their career. So what I need for you to do, we're talking about skill sets, so what I need for you to do as you're doing this exploration, the first thing is think about what your value add is going to be. What are your skills based on what your responsibilities are and what they were in previous positions? Because everybody in here has skills. Also think about those skills, not necessarily, I'm talking like hardcore skills that are directly relevant to the job, or transferable skills that can cross any jobs, like communication skills, interpersonal skills, relationship building skills, that can apply to any job, any industry. But also think about your education, and any of these other things that are up here. Education, any additional training you've had, any continuing education. Something that a lot of people don't think about, especially people who are new into their career, getting ready to launch their career, is volunteerism. You know, if they have very little experience doing anything, volunteer work can do that. And consulting work, sometimes people will do work pro bono, but take inventory of your skills. That's the first thing that you need to do. The second thing is think about the industry that you want to be in. Because when you think about the industry, you certainly don't want to be in an industry that you're not interested in. You know, because it helps me to be interested in the industry of higher education. I was not interested in retail. And I had a really hard time, you know, working for a department store in an administrative role, or management role, should I say. So I chose higher education. You may choose ADR, somebody else may choose law, you know. So, and then you start talking about the functions. And the functions, function/business unit. I chose a career center. Sometimes people will choose admission. Sometimes people will use, what do they call it? Financial aid, you know, or student services. Those are business units. And within those business units, there are certain jobs. Okay, this is what's going on. This computer, my computer died. This computer, I can't get on the internet because I was going to show y'all something really, really cool. But I'm just going to go ahead and say this, is that for the first thing in terms of exploring career options, you can always initially just start with a Google search. This is a simple Google search. Careers in education, careers in law, jobs in law. You know, and really this whole exploration exercise, you're just getting information. You know, because you want to make an informed decision about your career or what the next one is going to be. Because most people will approach this whole process very haphazardly, and you just kind of go to it, and then you get another job, and you get ticked off, and you go look for, you know, maybe ask them to look for another job. And then you find another job, and the next thing you know, you're going through all these jobs with no really direction. And sometimes people luck out. There are a lot of people who don't. How many people, do y'all know each other or work together? Okay. Is there anybody in here who really, really, really and truly of the working people really like their job? I mean, really and truly like their job. So when you go to work every day, you don't mind going to work. Me too. Hard day. But you know, the majority of people don't like their job. I've talked to tens of hundreds and thousands of people, and the majority of the ones that I speak with don't like their jobs. And they don't like their jobs, and they don't like their, but more often than not, they don't like their managers.
I have a question. I'm exploring options right now, and I'm in between jobs, and so I feel the pressure that I need to get a job as quickly as possible, but my motivation to actually apply to jobs, and I'm definitely exploring, and I want to feel okay with that, but I also have this pressure to get a job because I can't have a gap on my resume. So.
Right. You know, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I started, I said this whole process is really big, and that's really something we can talk about. Yeah, but that goes into a job search. But the question is, and then I have to move on. But the question would be is you can get a job. Like I tell students, you know, McDonald's, according to the College of Business, they're hiring for managers right now. And they're, oh, no, I don't want to work at McDonald's. Well, you don't want a job. I mean, and a lot of people are like that. So do you want a job or do you want a career? I know you want a job because you have to pay the bills. We all do. But we'll talk after here because it's much bigger than that. And I'm going to touch on some of it here. But in a simple Google search, going back, in a simple Google search, whatever industry or function that you want to be in, you can just say careers in and just start reading information. Because the whole exploration process, that's what it is. You're exploring the possibilities. And you'll probably end up, more than likely, end up finding information that you would not have even thought about, and continue to massage the information. So when I go to careers in higher ed, then I, go to a website, and it's called, higheredjobs.com. And then when you look on there, it has all these different business units and jobs within the business units. Now, every function does not have that, but again, the whole charge is to get information in the functional area that you like, and it oftentimes recommends jobs by title, jobs that you may not have even thought about. And if it's a job description that's involved, then they're going to give you the KSAs. And speaking of KSAs, there is another handout called Director of Career Services. Okay, the reason why I have this, the Google search that I was screaming out just that, it was going to take us to, I had internet access. It was going to take us to the higheredjobs.com website. And so I said, if I was to look for the next position in my role, if I wanted to be a director of the Career Center. And the only reason why I know that in terms of possibilities is because I did a lot of searching. And it could typically be the next role, or I can go into an area of employee relations, employee development, or I can go into an area within higher education within a career center of events planning, because that's another area of interest. But once I've explored the options, I figured that this one would be the best option for me. But the reason why I'm talking about this is when you look at this job description, and when you look at different jobs, when you're reading different information, they tell you everything they're looking for. They tell you what the role is, they tell you what you'll be doing, they tell you what the skills are, they tell you what the knowledge base is, they tell you what the education is. And so again, this exploration, and I keep going back to this, is getting the information so that you can make an informed decision about how to move forward. Because you're gonna read some things, and you say, I don't wanna do that. So you just check that off, and you keep it moving, and you start exploring the other options. So the first is the Google search. In this Director for Career Services, if you look at the job description itself, this is another indicator as you're exploring the options. And the black bold letter says overall leadership. They're giving you keywords. Everybody's heard of keyword search now. Yeah, they're giving you the keywords. It has overall leadership. Then it has supervision and leadership. Then the other black bolded, it has provide leadership. Then it has provide leadership too. So what do you think one of the primary skill sets are for this job? Leadership. They tell you. So if you're not a leader, but you've never led anybody or a horse to water, then you might as well just not even apply for the job. Short term. It doesn't mean that you can't do it in the long term. You just have to start back here, get some leadership to get you. They also have here planning, development, and implementation of creative and useful workshop and program. They talk about managing reports, managing and reporting surveys. They talk about having strong rapport. They tell you. So remember earlier when I was saying, talking about your own personal assessment? That's why you have to do that, because when you do your own personal assessment of skill sets, and you see that they're looking for a leader for this position, which you want to be your next position, you have that. But there may be skills in here that you don't, and so you have to figure out, okay, how can I get it? Or do you have 80-20? Do you have 80% of what they're looking for and 20% not? Or do you not have 80% and only have 20%? Because this will have to be a longer term career goal. There are additional, you probably can't see it, but there are additional websites, exploration websites. There's a website called vault.com. There's also one called Indeed. That's pretty good. Simply Hired. That's pretty good. That's very good, actually. Career Shift and Career Builder. Now, the Atlanta Business Chronicle, I'm just gonna go ahead, they have an online resource. And the online resource it's called the Atlanta Business Chronicle Book of Lists. And is anybody familiar with that? Book of Lists, L-I-S-T-S. Yeah, it's an online resource. Typically you have to pay for it. We get it free through the College of Business. But it's a big book. It's a really big book. Another way to approach it, if you want to be in consulting, for example, and you know that you want to be in educational consulting, Google search careers in educational consulting. And there was kind of a trick question, but you passed it, you know, because when you say consulting, students come to me and they say, well, I want to be a consultant. And I'm like, well, what kind of consultant? They say, I want to be a consultant. Well, yeah, you have educational consulting, you have HR consulting, you have IT consulting, you have strategic consulting, you have management consulting. It goes, and a lot of them require, depending on the type of consulting, different KSAs. So this is what the exploration exercise is about. You can do that. Let me go back to the Atlanta Business Chronicle. Is that if you know the industry, it's a big book, and if you know the industry, they list every company in the state by function and industry. And they list them in a number of different, like healthcare administration, that sort of thing. But they list them all. That would be an excellent resource because you can peruse those job boards on the company websites just to see what types of positions they are hiring for and looking for them by job title. So that gives you a good place to go. LinkedIn account. Everybody have a LinkedIn account? Please say yes. Okay. If you do not have a LinkedIn account and you are serious about trying to figure it all out, please, sir, please, ma'am, create a LinkedIn account. It is absolutely critical because right now, they're like 80% of employers are looking for talent through LinkedIn. Okay. And there are a lot of resources and tools that if people don't really know how powerful it really is. For example, which, you know, I don't have internet service, I was going to take you to LinkedIn, but there's a LinkedIn for groups. And in LinkedIn, does anybody know what LinkedIn is? Yes, no? Okay. Okay. There are groups in LinkedIn, and there are groups for anything professional that you probably could think of. You know, and there are a number of groups in LinkedIn that has to deal with conflict management, alternative dispute resolution, mediation. So the way you would explore career options, the sneaky way, is you log into LinkedIn, join a group, join multiple groups. For if you want to say, for example, ADR. When you join the groups, there's going to be discussions that's going on. You're going to see people in their profiles, and their pictures. And then they have their profile information. And they have their job titles. And it has where they work. And it has what their background is. And what their roles are, and what their titles are. So you kind of see how they got to where they are. And it's going to give you all those buzzwords. It's going to give you a lot of information about what those people do in their positions. You know, and as you're exploring, you have to start thinking, keeping those things in mind. He said, okay, well, I saw David Smith's profile, and he is a whatever, you know, he's a mediator. And so I just click on his picture and I read his profile information. And or you can meet people in the group by inviting them to connect with you. And I'm going to talk about that when I talk about informational interviewing. So join LinkedIn, and again, all of this is so big, but I just want to give you guys the basic concepts to get started. Join LinkedIn groups. The other thing is LinkedIn just started a new piece of software that they developed, and it's called Career Explorer. And it is so cool. And I really wish I had internet on access. And if you go on YouTube, you can find a YouTube video. It's called Career Explorer in LinkedIn. And what it does is you put in, based on your profile, you can change your profile. You can put in information, you know, this is what you do, this is what you think you want to do, and then you click, and then it tells you the typical career paths that people who have this end goal, you know, what it is that they've done. And there again, you can get job titles, that you can take those job titles and do a Google search, okay? And the whole point being massage the information. Don't just point and click and stop and say, well, they didn't tell me anything. Well, no, it's gonna be a lot of introspective thinking. And how does that fit into who you intrinsically are as a person? Does that make sense? I mean, yeah, because I'm just trying to, you know, give you all some really good concepts. But here, it is really, really nice. It is really nice. It has, it tells you how those people got to where they are, what are the job titles. It tells you salary ranges. And then it gives you a list of people who that particular job title and or job titles, plural, you know, it lists everybody that has that in their profile. And so you can reach out to those people, you know, to ask them questions for informational meetings. Wow, information. Imagine that. Informational interview. That is the third sheet that I have given everybody, which has informational interviews. And does everybody know what informational interview is? Information. Okay, let me tell you. It's really where you're connecting with people. The short story is to get information and to where you're not really asking for anything. You just say, I could say, Dr. Smith, you know, my name is Dirk Smith. Of course, we wouldn't say that because I don't know him. And so I would meet him through LinkedIn, or I would invite him into my network, and I would say something like, in the introduction, very interested in assistant directors for minority groups at a university setting. Saw your name in LinkedIn. Would you connect with me? Do you mind connecting? So when you connect with that person, now you can see all of their profile information. You can send them, unless you get a premium. That's another story. But so now you're connected with this person. I would send Dr. Smith an email. And I would say, Dr. Smith, I see that you are an assistant director in the Office of African American Student Services and Programs at Georgia State University. I'm very interested in moving towards that particular career. Do you have 30 minutes of your, can I have 30 minutes of your time to ask you questions?
You sure can.
About what you do, how